Today, we are going over the verb.
A reverb!
Let's go. I'm Darianna Everett. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, artist, and RAC graduate. What is a reverb? Reverberation is the persistence of sound in a particular space occurring after the original sonic event. Reverb is created when a sound is produced in an enclosed space, causing a large number of echoes or reflections to build up and then slowly decay logarithmically as the sound is absorbed by the surface materials and the air. So reverb in production is a hardware or plugin that falls under the category of time-based effects. In essence, it emulates a space, room, or environment that you want to place your sound in. Reverb properties and parameters. The initial sound is the original sonic event. You can see this as the dry signal. Pre-delay is the time in milliseconds between the end of the original sound and the moment when the first reflections become audible. Early reflections are those that reach the listener a few milliseconds after the direct signal arrives. Diffusion, how dense or how close together the reflections are. Size, the size of the emulated room. Width, stereo width of the reverb effect. Damping, the softness of the emulated reverb, meaning the attenuation of high or bright frequencies. Dry, wet, so this will control the amount of the original signal versus the reverb signal. Length, decay, or tail, the length of time it takes the reverb tail to lose energy and fade away. RT60 is the time it takes a sound to decay by 60 dB, which is the average perceptible reverb tail. This is based on concert halls, where normal ensemble crescendo or dynamic range is about 100 dB SPL, and the average background noise level is 40 dB, so the average perceptible reverb tail will exist in that 60 dB range. We use this as a standard in acoustics to calculate the reverb time in a room. So if we want a big reverb, we'll want a big RT60. For instance, a medieval cathedral will have a reverb time, or RT60, of about 8 to 11 seconds. However, if we are fixing our studio and want to do acoustic treatment, we will want to have almost a non-existent RT60, about 0.2 to 0.5 seconds. A few types of reverb. Halls. Reverbs that emulate concert halls. They are gigantic and have super long decays and will dampen the higher frequencies. A chamber is like halls, meaning they will be gigantic. However, they won't keep the clarity because these are often based off of places with more reflective surfaces, so we'll hear the high ends more and less dampening. Room emulates a smaller acoustic space, usually very natural sounding, and will add some life to your tracks while maintaining the feeling of an intimate space. A plate emulates a sound reverberating through a sheet of metal. This was a standard at the Abbey Roads in the 1960s, so you find this on some of the Beatles and Pink Floyd's early records. Spring. Similar operation to plates. It emulates the sound reverberating through a metal spring. They are clean and bright and are a must on vintage guitar sounds, as you will also hear them in many guitar amplifiers. How to use a reverb. There are so many simple yet creative ways to use a reverb. Here are a few examples to get your creative juices flowing. You want to put a band in a room to create a cohesive sound. We'll do this with a drum kit. We have a room mic with a drum kit. It will record the sound of the room it was recorded in. It will act as a glue to get the drums sounding cohesive. We can emulate the same for a drum kit. A band, or even digital instruments, can be put in a fake reverb room to create cohesion. You want to place something farther back in the mix. Having reverb on backing vocals will make your brain think that it is farther back in the sound space, especially when you dampen or attenuate the high or bright frequencies. You want your vocal to be wider. You can add a relatively short tail end reverb, meaning a reverb that is triggered at the end of a sound, which will add a gentle perceived presence after the sound has ended. And this will help widen your sound. Aesthetic juju. You can go wild with reverb and create an era like the 80s where you have gated reverbs, which we saw in the last video. Or create psychedelic guitars that send you to space. Or my childhood favorite, Celtic angels singing in a magical forest of river dance. Here is a pro experiment. If you like the way a reverb sounds in a particular space, like a parking lot, a bathroom, or a stairwell, so go to this space, set up speakers, and listen to whatever sound or song you want to add reverb to. Then go to where the reverb sounds best, put a microphone there, and record it. Once recorded, you can now use this in your mix to create your own personalized reverb. I hope this video helps you get creative and find the fun in reverbs. There's so much to them. They're such a fantastic tool. Not only do they emulate spaces, but they can really take us to space. Have lots of fun. Play with them. There's so many different types of reverb, and there's so many creative ways to use reverb. Write down below what your favorite reverb is, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!